So, all right, welcome. Yay, we did it. Um well, thank you for joining me. I really appreciate you being here. This is super exciting for me cuz I've known you now for a few months. It feels like a lot longer than that, but I was looking at it, I was like it's been 4 months and that's it.
Yeah.
And
Well, race
I was
season
like,
though, like
yeah,
everyone's in the
yeah.
trenches together and
This is
there's a
yep.
lot more bonding going on.
Yeah, I know. I like haven't seen you guys. I missed Donner and I was watching all these updates and I was like, I missed everybody. Hmm.
Yeah.
But I'm super excited to see you guys. Next week is TKO for anybody that's listening. Super excited for Tennessee Knockout. It's gonna be wild, right? Right?
Yes,
Maybe.
yes.
I don't know because I've never been. So it
Yeah,
seems like it'll
no.
be wild.
It's going to be an insane group of riders coming from Europe, all of our riders here from the US Hard Enduro series. So the joint race between FIM, Red Bull with US Hard Enduro, we're going to be in for some great action the whole entire weekend.
Awesome. I'm super excited. I went to the Trials Training Center a couple months ago and I just like stood there and I stared and I was like, how? How do they do this? Because some of those rocks are like bigger than me. I mean,
Yeah,
not that I'm a big person, but they're still
I get it.
sizable.
I get it.
um, so awesome. Real quick before we get into how your journey started with dirt biking, so Jenny is correct me if I get your title wrong, the official photographer, right, for the US Hard Enduro series, as well as the media coordinator, correct?
Yep. Yeah.
So, okay, awesome. Yeah, I got it
Love
right.
it.
So it's really, really cool because the first time I saw Jenny, she just rocked up with like this super awesome camera, which I was like, ooh. And then she's on a dirt bike, and I was like, okay, I need to know who this girl is. So this is awesome. So I'm super stoked that you're here talking to me. And with that, the stage is yours. Let us know all things Jenny.
I'm excited to be here. I think that any opportunity for people in the industry to be able to talk about their experience so far, the community that's been built around it is always awesome. And I'm really feeling privileged to be able to jump on and chat with you and talk to you a little bit about my journey, but also some of the things that, US Hard Enduro has been working on over the last year and some of the plans that we have for the future, especially in terms of women. And we're just really excited about what's to come. And in particular, like I'm stoked about the moto world, specifically anything that's hard enduro related. And so
Yeah.
I'm really excited to chat with you. From the
Yeah,
most
this is gonna be awesome.
clumsy photographer in the world, as anyone knows. If they find
Clumsy.
me after a race, and I'm wearing shorts like black and blue, so there's a reason I take
Oh
the
my
pictures.
gosh.
Yeah, don't race the things because my dirt bike skills are not at that level. I'm really good at
Okay,
falling.
so before I start with your story now, I have to sidebar. How do you keep your camera safe when you're riding?
um Gaslighting myself, pretending that it's gonna be fine. For me personally, I usually try to keep the camera the most of the time in my backpack,
Mhm,
and that adds time. Obviously,
mhm.
needing to jump off the bike, put it all together, all that kind of stuff. And then my business partner and the West Coast director for US Hard Enduro, Nick Clark, he's the really, really gutsy one, and he actually carries cameras on his chest while he is doing all the hard enduro stuff, getting around course. And so I just look at him and I'm like, yep, there's a reason you do that, and I don't, because you at least you get through that stuff. I would not. So yeah, I just try to tell myself it'll be fine, and if I fall on my face. That's why I wear a helmet and not on the backpack where the camera is. So
Forward, not backwards.
exactly, health insurance is better than like the insurance for the camera.
Ooh, ooh, yeah, okay. Yeah, I guess I haven't seen you like really do anything super insane
No, I
with the camera. So
love
I was
it.
curious. Like in my head, you're like going through rock gardens and like, just like being a badass with the camera just like on your chest. And I was like,
No,
damn, that's crazy.
I'll hike some crazy stuff with the camera in my hand or on my chest, but I won't ride it because I do know my limits to a point. So
I think that's really important though. I think if you don't know your limits and you've got, something like that, then that's disaster waiting to happen.
yeah,
But
yeah.
that's really cool. So, all right, going back. So how did you get into writing?
Yeah,
What's the story on that?
it was a very non-traditional way and how I ended up in it. I did
Mhm.
not have a background in moto whatsoever. I grew up in Montana, the land of the big sky and cattle ranches, and my mom worked in healthcare actually, and saw a lot of accidents that came from motorcycles, like street bikes and stuff,
Mhm.
and actually forbid us from riding when we were all growing up.
Oh.
So now it's hysterical
Oh.
because now, fast forward 20 plus years later, and I ride, and my, job is dependent on this awesome industry. And she's super invested in the sport now. Like, she follows along on social media when we have big races and is always asking how certain riders do and things like that. So it's funny how things evolve. But how I ended up in it is
Mhm.
kind of in a funny way, or I guess not funny, but like I was dealing with a lot of major health issues back in
Mhm.
2020. It started, and I ended up getting diagnosed and going for treatment at the UCSF Cancer Center here. And it was a multi-year journey. Up until about a year ago, I was still going through a lot of that treatment stuff. I'm great. Everything's
Mhm.
wonderful. All my surgeries are done. It's great. However, anyone who's gone through a journey similar to that, it's tough and it's a hard journey to walk, but we all get through it. And through
Mhm.
that process, I became friends with Nick, who I mentioned earlier. He became one of my very best friends, and he was a great support system for me. And he had just moved to
Mhm.
California, and he has a background in moto, really enjoyed it, and he started racing our local AMA district here, District 36. And
Mhm.
I had been going through, back in 2022, a particularly dark point of my health
Mhm.
journey. And I was in a dark mental health place. And he recognized that. And he was like, you know what? You need to get out of your house. You need to see things that aren't just your four walls. I'm going to a race this weekend. And I was like, great, let's go. And he's like, I don't care if you sit in the campground and hang out with the dog all weekend or you watch races, just get out of the house. And I went with him, and I brought my camera, and I was hooked. I was like, it was a district enduro here in the Sierras that we had. And I was just like, wow, this is amazing. I didn't even think that some of this stuff was possible. I lived for the carnage, loved the dirt, the dust, everything along with it. And it allowed
Mhm.
me, to marry my creative side of things with just
Mhm.
liking that, stimulation and action that comes along with sports. And so it provided this amazing launching ground into something that I previously didn't think was a career opportunity for me. And
Mhm.
so I fast forward over the last 2 years, 2.5 years since then, and it's become my business. And I, along with Nick, he also does shoot for me and with me, and is part of my business. We've had the opportunity not only to work with and partner with our local AMA chapter here in our district here, District 36, as well as all the area clubs, and support a
Mhm.
lot of riders through that. We've had the opportunity to work with ISDE for qualifiers, as well as US Hard Enduro, which has been amazing over the last couple years. And then also Enduro Cross all last season, which is a phenomenal sport, super, super fun, lots of great action. And so it's something that throughout all of that, I just fell in love with the sport. And, growing up in Montana, we grew up hiking, and my family was a very
Yeah.
active stereotypical family that enjoyed the outdoors. And so
Mhm.
hiking and I used to be friends, and then I got into moto
Mhm.
photography, and my quest for wanting to get really good pictures and knowing I was going to have to hike a long way won out,
Mhm.
and it made me stop loving hiking because I might hike like 10 to 20 miles every single day per race weekend.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
carrying 50 pounds of gear and everything else made me not love hiking as much. And so you better believe the second the doctors cleared me to start riding again and learning to like really ride, and not just, putz around, I was like, let's go. As much as I love hiking,
Yeah.
and everyone who's seen me this season, they see me on a bike, but I also still hike a lot just because I'm not at a level where I am going to be going up the gnarly stuff. But hey, if I can cut out 3 or 4 miles of, easy trails to get to that great spot and
Mhm.
hike in the last couple hundred yards, I'm going to do that, even if it's in moto gear. But it's been great. And so, I've fallen in love with riding since then. I've, had some amazing supportive people throughout this entire journey on learning how to ride. All the photo
Yeah.
stuff aside, like, from, my boyfriend and his family to all of our district, and AMA people and friends and everyone that I've, had joined my community over the last couple of years. They've been so,
Yeah.
so supportive. And I've, I'm sure I've frustrated all the people in my core circle who have been teaching me over the years because I'm just like, yeah, let's just do it. Let's learn how to do it. Let's just go down that scary thing, even if I'm not ready for it, and then I regret it later. But I gotta try to send it, and then it fails most of the time. But hey, slowly but surely, we're getting better, and it's getting there. And so it's been a really, really fun journey to see how we've ended up here so far.
That's really cool. I always tell myself, I like to do hard things. I like to do hard things. I like to do hard
Mhm.
things. So
Like,
yesterday I went up a fire tower and the whole time I was like, I do hard things for fun. This is fun. This isn't
yep,
scary because I freaking hate heights. But
yep,
it was so worth it to get to the top. But I had to go up the mountain on my bike
uh
and
huh,
then climb the fire tower. So it was like a
yeah.
lot of up, and I have never done that much up on a bike before. So it's uh
Mhm.
it's really challenging, but then you get through it and you're like, "Hey, I did that." Or
Exactly.
in my case, a lot of the times, "Hey, I almost did that and I've never done it before." So like that's pretty cool.
Yep, yep. Yeah. Mm-mm.
I love it. So, how did you get involved with the hard enduro side of things? So, was that all just like Nick's influence or
It was definitely. And then also once I started, you know, witnessing and attending more of the different disciplines of riding, um,
Mhm.
I am somebody that is very, I like action. I like carnage. I like, things that are watching people do really hard stuff and triumph, or,
Mhm.
you know, absolutely kill it at trying, even if, they didn't succeed for whatever their specific goal was. Like, just going out and doing that was badass. Like, I love watching that stuff. And so,
Yes.
it was like it morphed into the hard enduro side as a result. And then throughout the season last year, Nick's role in supporting and being, a photographer out there for me when I was still going through
Mhm.
some of my surgeries. I was back home furiously editing. And then also, once I was back on my feet, being out there myself, and then when we were doing enduro cross and things like that, I realized that was the style of writing that really spoke to me.
Mhm.
But on top of that,
Mhm.
it was also the community that I, felt like home, and was so
Yeah.
welcoming and open and, supportive and challenging all in the same breath. And so, it just kind of fell together, that I was able to partner with and work with the series this year and support them and be a member of that team, which I'm so, so appreciative of. It's in a killer team of great and talented people with amazing vision and creativity and goals and skills. And so being able to contribute to that has been an amazing experience. And so we're really excited about what we've accomplished this year, but are looking forward to 2025 as well.
That's awesome. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, I don't even know like what to say after that. Like that's really, really cool. So you mentioned enduro cross. So I don't have much experience with that. Like
Mm-hmm.
I know there's probably some other people like me. So can you explain enduro cross a little bit more and like
Yeah.
what is it all about? I think I've seen it. Um, but yeah, go ahead and explain because I don't know.
So Enduro Cross is going to be taking a lot of the skills that are demonstrated, whether it's, popping over logs or going through matrices or things like that, and distilling it into a really short course. And it might be, we at US Hard Enduro have done a couple enduro cross sections as part of some of the races this year so far. For example, Grinding Stone and Page, Jim Flynn shut down the street, and we did a whole section there that was an enduro cross style race with all of the pros. Moab had an enduro cross section. There's other races around the country that do them as well, like Silver Kings and things like that. And it's taking all of those, short course, quick things and putting it inside of a stadium. So it is an indoor sport for at least the fall series for AMA's Enduro Cross. And it is, I think this year it's going to be about a 6-week long total, starting in early October. And we get usually a phenomenal lineup of riders from around the world. Tristan Hart won last year after a really tight battle between him and Johnny Walker from Beta over in the UK, as well as Webb and Colton. It's just an incredible, few hours of great action. And I highly recommend that if people are, sitting around in the fall and it's dark outside and they don't have anything to do, go out, watch one of the races if they're near you, or, you can subscribe online through Enduro Cross and be able to tune into all that action. But it's a really, really cool and fun experience to be able to see all of that action literally right in front of you with compared to hard enduro where we're hiking, riding, walking miles every weekend, you're all within a stadium. And so it's just a very different experience, but super, super engaging and fun nonetheless.
So a little bit more spectator friendly, but you can
Yeah,
still see like kind of the same skills and like
for
insane things
sure.
I'm sure that they do on a bike.
For sure. Absolutely. And, you can sit in your chair, you can eat your popcorn, have a hot dog, drink a beer, whatever it might be. All of the enjoyable things that come with having a stadium experience for any sport gets carried over into Enduro Cross. And so it is definitely something that is a great way to spend your weekend or spend a particular day or afternoon and evening.
That sounds awesome. I'm gonna have to check that out this year because like I actually just learned about that like I think a few months ago because I think Max said something about it and I was like, what is that? I don't even know what that is. And I had to
Yeah.
like go Google it. I was like, I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's really cool. And that's another thing about talking to people, like you touched on community. You learn so much. And I came into motorsports knowing only about Supercross. And then
Mm-hmm.
from there, people told me about hard enduro, and I was like, what's hard enduro? And of course, they showed me a clip from Erzberg, and I was like, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
But I think, you touched on community. The community for hard enduro is very different from any other community in motorsports or sports in general. Um, so I completely connect with what you said about the community. I
Mm-hmm.
found this community about 4 months ago and I had been watching hard enduro on, Red Bull or whatever on YouTube. I don't know, for probably like 10 years. And so I knew what it was, but being there is a completely different experience because, first of all, nothing looks like it does in person. As great of a photographer as you are, and as great as all the media coverage is, it never looks as epic as it is in person. And you're just like, oh my God, I can't believe they're doing this right now.
Yep.
Um, and then, like you said, the people, it was the people, like not just the riders, but the people around in, spectating, that were just absolutely amazing. Everybody's just so welcoming. And I didn't know anything about where I was. And they were just like, oh, yeah, just come over here and come over there and, make sure you do this. And I was like, okay. And it just made the experience so much better to have people, really helping out. And everybody's just like cheering on, maybe they're there because their kid's a rider and their kid is like rivals with this other kid. But when the other kid comes through, they're cheering for that kid just as much as for their own. And I think that's awesome. I saw parents giving, everybody water when they needed it and stuff like that. And I just think it's the most supportive community. And I'm really, really lucky. I kind of fell into this, and I found all these people. It's just been really amazing. At this point in my life, it's like what I needed.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think it's the coolest thing that this community. I don't know if it's because, like you said, watching the carnage is awesome, and like it's cool to see people get through hard things like that,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's cool to see the triumph when they make it to the top of the hill or through the rock garden, or when time gets called and they're like, oh, thank God.
Yep.
But it's something that we're all doing together. You and I might be not racing, we're maybe hiking. I'm trying to just go to a cool spot to see it. Um, but it's still not easy to get there.
No, no, it's
It
not.
takes a lot. Some of these paces are not the most spectator friendly right now.
No,
So,
no, you definitely have to get yourself into a mental headspace to go out and support your riders, and go out
mhm.
and commit to sometimes that hike or that bushwhack, or the weather that might come along with the sport. But there is also something to be said. The things that riders go through, and
Mhm.
whether you're at a pro level or you're somebody that just started racing, um, everyone's out there and they're working their butt off, and they're spending their time, their money, their energy, their mental, everything is being invested into this sport. And that is so admirable, from the top down. Um,
Yeah.
but also on top of that, their support systems are also investing a lot. It might be
Mhm.
financially, it might be, driving to races, making sure that people are fed, making sure that bikes are, wrenched on and ready to go. But, it takes a village
Mhm.
to participate in the sport, at any level. And that
Yeah.
village is infectious and it's supportive by and large for most situations and most people. It is supportive
Mhm.
across the board of
Mhm.
everybody's backgrounds and coming from different situations, different parts of the country, wanting to help people out. There
Mhm.
is that almost infectious um, energy of what you're doing is great, what I'm doing is great, but how can we do it great together?
Yeah.
And so everyone wants to do well. It is a race at the end of the
Mhm.
day, but they don't want, no competitor, it appears, no competitor wants to win just because someone they've been battling it out with all season had a mechanical issue that they could have helped with because they have the tool in their bag. And so there
Yeah.
is that integrity that comes along with this sport that to me is just so amazing, where
Yeah.
people are still supportive even when they are direct competitors. If
Yeah.
somebody else wreck, most people are going to pull up and be like, hey, are you okay, do you need help? Like, this is
Yeah.
a community that genuinely cares about each other, genuinely looks for ways to give back to each other and be supportive and have a kind word and cheer people on, like whatever it might be, everyone celebrates each other's wins. Whether that
Yeah.
win is because you just won the entire series, or that win is you just got up a hill climb that you've been stuck at for, an hour. Like that is
Yeah.
something to me I just love, is that ability to just champion and love all of the great success that people achieve, whatever that looks like to them. And that's just so
Yeah. I love that. It makes me think of, so at Battle of the Goats, that was my first hard enduro, and it was just it left such an impression on me for so many reasons. But it's the reason I kept going back, and it's the
Mhm.
reason why all this has happened now. There's just the community, like you said, the support. It's very collaborative, right? Like even like spectators trying to like figure out, okay, I'm going to go here and I'm going to get pictures here of my
Yep.
kid, and then like, okay, well, I kind of know you. Would you mind sending me pictures if you get pictures over at
Mhm.
that spot over there, and like vice versa. And I thought that was really cool. It's just like you said, it takes a village, and was really awesome. But specifically, it makes me think, you're talking about the hill climb thing. These two girls that I saw riding at Battle of the Goats, and they were kind of like riding together the second day that I saw them, and they were just like beasting it together, but they're celebrating each other, and
Yeah.
they're just like so excited for each other. And I was like at the top of the hill going, yeah, like I don't even know them, but I was just like
Yeah.
getting so excited because,
Yep.
like you said, it is infectious. It's really cool to see people going up this stuff. And there was a couple times, there was this kid who tried the hill and tried the hill and tried the hill, and he just kept
Mhm.
not making it. He kept losing his momentum, kept trying a different line, and finally he got it. He got up to the top, he turns around, he looks at me, he goes, yes. And I was like, oh my god, that's so awesome. He
Yeah.
was just so excited. And then afterwards he saw me and he was just like, wasn't that the coolest thing ever? I was like, dude, it really was. Like, that
So
was so
cute.
awesome. But like, it's amazing to see, because like you said, it's just like you might be fighting it out and maybe you're not getting first place, but you're fighting and you have to make it through every single inch of that race yourself. Nobody's going
Yeah.
to do it for you. And that's an amazing accomplishment. It doesn't matter if you make it to checkpoint 1 or to the end. Like,
Yeah.
it's still a lot. These are not called easy enduros for a reason.
No, no, definitely not. As Trailbound likes to say, not here for the cupcake ride, and Hard Enduro is not a cupcake ride. So,
Yeah. For sure. I'm really excited to kind of like dip my toes into the world. I'm doing a Schmedium Enduro next month. That's literally what it's called. It's called the Legends Schmedium
yeah.
Enduro. Because it's not quite hard enduro, but it's not like a sprint enduro either.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to kind of put myself through it and just be like, this is just a taste of what these people do. Like, it's going to
Mhm.
be really cool to see that. Um, well, I think it's going to be really cool. I'm not 100% sure that I'll think that during, but we'll see.
You'll get out there. You're gonna do it, and whatever the
Yeah.
outcome, you can say that you tried. So that's all that matters.
Exactly. Exactly. No, I'm super excited about it. There's some really badass ladies that are supposed to be there, and I'm stoked to see them race. Like, they're absolutely amazing on bikes, and I'm just like I've never actually ridden with them. I've just seen like videos and stuff, but I know
Mhm.
who they are, and I'm just like, this is gonna be so cool to see them in action. Like, oh, I can't wait. But they're inspirations. Like, watching women do hard things like this and do it really well is awesome. But
Mhm.
really, watching any woman do it, like even
Yeah.
like women who go out there and even just try, even if you're not making it to the end, you're not maybe making the podium, you're still out there. And that's freaking incredible to me, because
Oh,
it
for
is not
sure.
easy at all to just being on a dirt bike, not even talking about hard enduro, just being on a dirt bike as a woman is a completely different experience than it
Mhm.
is for men. And time again, I've had this conversation where it's just like, we have a completely different world when it comes to dirt bikes. We are all in the same world, but like women are over here, and there are some really badass women, but we still are a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
So, but
For
we learn different. We tackle things different. You know, a lot of times, not all, but a lot of the men that I've ridden with in the past are very much, all right, that's a hard thing. I'm just going to send it. And they just throttle it out or they muscle through it. Whereas I can't do that. You
no.
know, smaller people, smaller framed women cannot do that. So we really have to focus on the technical challenges and like figure out how to do it the smartest that we can, because somebody like you and me can't always dab because there's not always ground where we can touch.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's a lot of challenge and a lot of learning. I think that's why I like it so much, because I like to challenge myself every day in life. But I think women are just naturally really, really good at that. So I think if we saw more women in hard enduro, that'd be super cool, because like they just are awesome at that stuff.
Yeah. And there's like so many awesome women right now that are doing hard enduro,
Oh
both at the
yeah.
pro
Uh-huh.
level as well as the amateur level. But it is
Yeah.
something that, I mean, I feel really passionately about. I know Matt Musgrove, the owner and director of US Hard Enduro, he feels really strongly about and passionate about, as well as the women in the sport. How do we get
Mhm.
more women involved is something that we've heard a lot over the last 6 months, and this
Yeah.
season. And, we have some really, really inspirational and amazing women out there that
Yeah.
are like Louise Forsley or Hallie Marks or Rachel Goodish, or, the list just goes on of all these great
Yeah.
women. Um, but it also is something that, especially women that might be looking at hard enduro because, their friends are interested in it, or they've been watching on TV and they're curious about maybe doing one, or, they, have done other disciplines but aren't familiar with how to make the transition. It's something
Yeah.
that could be intimidating. And so it's something that for me, our hope, or my hope personally, is that, through that we can maybe take down some of the barriers that might be stopping,
Mhm.
especially a lot of the amateur women, from wanting to go out and try it. And
Mhm.
so this last weekend in Donner, the Donner Challenge, there was a clinic put on by US Hard Enduro, made possible by P3 and Peak Designs, and, supported by Brian Garahan, the promoter of that weekend, as well as myself.
Mhm.
And, we did this clinic with Louise Forsley, where the entire purpose of this clinic was to have beginner women, meaning women who hadn't done hard enduros before. They weren't active competitors in the sport, but they were
Mhm.
interested in joining. We wanted to, introduce them more to it, introduce them to some of the
Yeah.
techniques, the tips, the tricks, some of the things that go into it, and at least hopefully help build some of that confidence in a
Yeah.
really, really collaborative, supportive environment. And so it was an amazing clinic. We had such a inspirational group of women, like low key. Like, I was watching all of them, and at the beginning of the day, there were women that, had literally just started riding a dirt bike in the last year, all the way up to women who may have been riding for a little while but don't have much hard enduro experience, but maybe their
Mhm.
their family or their partners or whoever it might be, they do hard enduro, and they want to at least be able to relate or experience that for themselves. And throughout that entire day, the things that I saw these ladies do, I kept being like,
Mhm.
"Oh my gosh!" Like, okay, try it. All right, well, we're trying this. Let's go. And it was so cool to see them not only try things but succeed at them.
Yeah.
Watch the entire group like rally around each other, cheer each other on, trade advice, trade information. Like, it was just so cool to see. And then fast forward to the next day, on
Mhm.
Saturday during our prologue, we had a number of those women who chose to also race the hard enduro race during the Donner Challenge, first hard
Yeah.
enduro race ever. And, it is, I love watching all of our top pro men ride. That's great. It's super fun. The things that Cody and Tristan and Will and Ryder, all of them, the things they do on a dirt bike are just mind baffling. And I love seeing them taking their photos. That being said, I was so freaking proud of all the women who showed up last week at the Hard Enduro to race it, whether it was their first one or not, because particularly this group that it was their first Hard Enduro, watching them out there. Hard Enduro is hard. I mean, like, it's in the name. Come on, like, state the obvious over here. But I was so proud because I was sitting there on the top of the crack, as it's called. It's this section up there at Donner Ski Ranch. And I'm sitting up there and I'm watching these women ride through this prologue, and I'm listening to them, and I am hearing them talk to each other, coach each other through these things, literally repeat things that Louise was sharing in our clinic, that Addie Albrecht, who was helping her, was sharing, as well as Dylan from Trailbound Ladies. She assisted with the clinic too. Like, just resharing all these things that they learned the day before, putting it into practice, and then accomplishing these amazing, amazing things. And I was just like, I was blown away. I was like, I am so proud. I'm so excited. I'm excited, like, by where this is going. I'm excited that they're out there doing it and they want to do it, and that they showed up the next day to compete in the main event. Like, I was like, I'm so glad we didn't break them. Like,
yeah.
It was for anyone doing hard enduro the first time. Like, you know, like, it's a hard thing. I mean, I know the first hard enduro I ever shot, like, I literally cried after the first day I took photographs because I was so exhausted. It was just so intense. The landscape we're doing there at King of the Motos. But that being said, it was so inspiring. And I think that's what's so cool about this sport is any level that you're at, it is something that is a huge feat. If you get to the end of the day and you said you tried your very best and you did your very best, and that very best may have just put you at the top of the podium, or that very best, then I got through that really technical section and that's all I wanted to do. Either way, you're still killing it. And, you know, that's how we help to grow the sport, and also, like, getting the word out there. Like, that's something that I also, like, in addition to trying to get more women involved in the sport, I've you know, taken a lot of steps along with Matt Musgrove to try to increase coverage of the sport here in the United States, with our media programs for the U.S. Hard Enduro, because that is how we raise awareness. The more photos out there, the more videos that are out there, the more content being produced and reshared. That is how we reach more people in other disciplines of motorsports that might be, you know, if they don't want to race it, they want to come and spectate it. Or maybe people that are like, hey, I didn't even know this was, you know, a race near me. Let's go out and do it. And so our media program is something that we have been working really hard at developing the last year, because we want to create pathways in with flexibility and boundaries that allow everyone to succeed, and also support the riders, support the teams that are in the sport, but also hopefully share access and information that allows your content creators that are videographers, photographers, and the such to be successful themselves and get the content they need to help spread that word. And so that's something else we've been really, really stoked about. I think that so far this year, we've had, I think, about 40 different media personnel that are not our U.S. Hard Enduro team join out to races. And that's been really, really cool to see. And that's on the East Coast, West Coast. And so it's something that we're really excited about, the growth and where we're seeing that go. And we're really excited that more and more media are wanting to cover it and are wanting to come out and support riders. So, and all of also, you know, on top of the riders, support all of the sponsors and the people that are out there making sure that these riders are able to show up on a start line, are able to go out and train. They have teams to support them, or maybe they're privateers funded by, you know, a factory mom or, you know, someone else. But it is somebody that we want to make sure that all of these companies, all these individuals that choose to support this sport have
Mhm.
the resources to help them also succeed and grow their companies too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. A lot of these, I'm still pretty new to dirt bikes. When I got into riding, my um ex really did everything on the bike.
Hmm.
So when we split, I'd figure it all out. And I didn't know what I didn't know, right? Like I got this new bike in January and I was like, cool, I've got a new bike. I'm going to go out and ride. And everybody was like, well, aren't you going to put this guard on it? Aren't you going to put that guard on it? Aren't you going to do this, 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 this? And I was like, I just spent all this money on a new bike. And now you're telling me I have to put like $2,000 into
Yeah.
it on top of that? Like, okay, it makes sense. But I didn't know. Like, and so I've actually like it's been really cool to go to these events, not just hard enduros, but like other races that I've gone to and like figure out who some of these sponsors are because I'm like, what do they do? Okay. I didn't even know that was a thing that I was gonna need. Like, I
Hmm.
don't know. Because I had people tell me like that beginning stuff and they're like, oh, that'll work for now. Well, now I'm at a different level of riding and now I have to think about all of these other things that I might need for this next level of writing. And it's just like, okay, cool. But now I have all of these like places to go. Like I know now where I need to go to get this thing or that thing or,
Yeah.
tires or whatever it is. And so it's really cool because like it's not just like you said, it's like supporting the people who support the sport.
Yeah.
So, but I didn't know about any of them until recently. So it's just like
That,
it's
that's how
really
it works.
hard. Yeah, it's really hard when you don't grow up around this.
Mhm.
I didn't grow up around motorcycles even. I saw a dirt bike. I rode on one with my uncle when I was like 5 and I always wanted one, but I just, it never worked out until I was like almost 30. And then it's like I finally got a bike and it's like, okay, cool. But I don't like everybody then around me already knew everything about
Yeah.
bikes. So you're starting from like way down here and everybody else is way up here. And it's like, okay, now I have to learn about all the things that I need, all the things like maintenance, and then figuring out how to work on my bike and then like technique on top of that. It's a lot to learn.
It is. It is. I think though
So,
that's something that I think is really cool about off-road, it seems like in particular, not just hard enduro, because I've seen it
mhm,
in cross country and other disciplines as well, but
mhm,
most of the time people are really really open to asking, well, or answering questions that you can ask.
yes.
And so that's
Mhm,
something that to me has been so welcoming and refreshing to
mhm.
see. It's not always about competition 100% of the time.
Yeah.
And what may seem like a dumb question to you actually might have a multifaceted, multi-layer answer that you're like, oh, I'm really glad I asked that because
Yeah.
I had no idea all these other things were involved. And so I think that that's what's really, really cool to see in the sport as a whole is that openness.
Yeah. Well, and even like it doesn't matter who you ask. Like I've messaged Dylan who's a pro
Mhm.
rider and I've asked him questions. I'm like, "Look, I know that this is probably a stupid question, but like I don't know about tire setup and I need new rear tire." So I was like, "Who's the best person to ask?" Well, he has the most knowledge of the people that I know, so I'm going to ask him. So, and he was super great. He, just like talked to me about where I'm going to be riding and he really, he answered it for me. And I thought that was really cool because like he didn't have to do that, but he's a really nice guy. So he did. But I think that's a big thing. Like we keep going back to the community, right? Like it's all about sharing knowledge. And I've touched on this before in other episodes. Like everybody is so excited about sharing what they know, not
Mhm.
just like parts that they use, which is great, but how to do things. Like you were saying, there was so much help at the hard enduro. People are helping each other. and coaching each other through it. And I think that's just the coolest thing. Um, these guys at the top, they don't have to share what they do and how they train and any of this stuff, but they do. And they're just trying to grow everything. And that's just one of those things that sets the sport apart. It's just the sharing of everything. It's just so collaborative in every single
Mhm.
way. And I've never seen that in another sport. And like you said, it creates a community and it just brings everything together. And it's unlike anything else I've ever been around,
Yeah.
and it's just super awesome. It's always a good time going to these events because like everybody's just so cool and it's just super, super fun.
Yep. Yep. I'm very, very thankful that this is where the universe and the weird path took me to end up
Mhm.
here. Um, because, I think a few years ago, I
Mhm.
wouldn't have ever thought that this is where my life would be. This is the community and the job that I work within now.
Yeah.
But that being said, I am so appreciative it is. It's not something to take for granted. It's
Yeah.
a pretty cool place, pretty cool people to be around.
Yeah. There's some characters. It's so fun and it's just like I mean, the last couple times I've been out, it's a quick weekend. Like I have to I think at Silver Kings, I flew out Thursday night. I got there Friday morning, so I missed like one of the races. And then I left Sunday. And it was just like super early in the morning that I left. And
Mhm.
I'm like, it was a super fast turnaround. But even though I didn't get like the traditional rest of a weekend, I was
Mhm.
so energized from just being around the community and all of the fun. Um, I didn't really need that, like, downtime, that rest time,
Yeah.
and, going into a six-day work week after that was a little rough because of the work side of it, but,
Yeah.
it really was, like, a mini vacation into, like, my own little bubble of awesomeness, like, that's what it felt like, and every time I've been to one of these events, it's just been every single time I go, it's just better than the last time, and it's just so much fun, and seeing some of the stuff that these people do is just incredible. To see it in person, like I said, seeing it on TV or even in pictures is amazing.
Yeah.
But then watching people and like how they move their bodies and stuff to get over things, I just
Mhm.
think that's the coolest thing. Um, so going from that, weird transition, but have you done any training on your bike, like, or did you just like how did you learn to ride, like who taught you?
My boyfriend, and then Jared, and then Nick. That
Okay.
is how I learned. And I, for better or for worse, am the person that is oftentimes like, "Hey, I'm actually home for once this weekend. Let's get up at 4:30 so we're on bikes by 5:30." And usually I'm, you know, sometimes that goes over really well, other times not so much. But I'm like, hey, we got riding to get in. We can sleep later.
Mhm.
With that being said, I'm so thankful that people have been willing to um, teach me, but in particular, like, with my health journey over the last couple years and what I've gone through
Mhm.
physically, my body uh, doesn't react or doesn't ride the same way. I can't ride the same way that I would have, a few, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, before all of this health journey that I was on.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so, I'm so thankful that, people have been super patient and accommodating and adaptive. And if my doctor is ever listening or watching this, don't worry, I'm not riding a full size bike yet, not lifting it up. But no, I have a great group of people that are always willing to help, which I appreciate. And there are still times that I still am challenged out there on the trail a lot. But
Mhm.
everyday riding, I feel like things get better, things get easier. Like even this last weekend, I was riding with a camera, on the front of my backpack in my lap. Granted, it was on fire roads, but I was like, right, we're doing this because I need to get pictures here and I don't have time to get it out of the backpack. So we're just going to be really careful and not wreck.
Yeah.
So that's kind
But
of
having
how I've been trying to learn, but also every time that I am around kind of our group of friends or people that ride a lot,
Mhm.
whether it's in the hard enduro community or a local district or things like that, people are always so open to sharing their perspective on riding advice and things like that. And like
Yeah.
even last weekend, I picked up some great advice to try to help increase some of my riding skills to overcome
Yeah.
some of the physical things that I deal with, which was great. And it made a huge difference the rest of the weekend. Just, a 10-minute conversation with a pro helped me adjust how I was, attacking a certain feature and how I was navigating a hill. And I was able to
Mhm.
get through it so much better and more safely and more effectively, which is awesome to see.
Yeah.
So, I think it's just kind of trying to learn from anyone I can. And I thank all the people that are willing to put up with me.
I know exactly how you feel. I went riding with my friend Crystal and her boyfriend Anthony in New Hampshire, and I was like, we ended up on this extreme trail, and I'm not an extreme rider. So I was like going through this rock garden, and I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe like I dropped my bike so many times, and it was so hot, and we ended up running out of water before the end of the
Oh
trail, and it
gosh.
was just like so many things were stacking up, but I was having so much fun. But they were fantastic. They were like at one point, this rock garden, we were told was like not that long, and it ended up
Mm.
being like, to me, it was 4 miles of just rocks,
Oh
and
my
to
god.
me, the rock garden, but it wasn't all of, like, true rock garden, like, maybe half of it was, but that's still 2 miles, and I
Yeah.
had never done one like that. I've done, like, maybe 50 feet of one with, like, half the size rocks, and so I was struggling, and I was just like I kept dumping my bike because, I go to dab and the rocks were slippery, or
Yeah.
I just completely misjudged it and my foot goes in a hole instead of
Yeah.
on the rock, and then here
You're
I
like,
am on
this
my
is
side.
great. Yeah.
Mhm. But they were fantastic. They came, they helped me pick up my bike so many times. I was like, "You guys did not sign up for this. I'm so sorry."
Mhm.
But they were amazing. They had so much fun watching me get through it, and at least that's what they told me. So, and I thought that was the coolest thing, that is something that I think a lot of women really have bad experiences with. I'm one of them. I had horrible experiences when I first started riding where it was just constantly making me feel bad about being slow, about dropping my bike, and
Yeah.
about people helping me. I was just like, I had it in my head that I couldn't drop my bike because if I couldn't pick it up myself, I couldn't expect anybody else to help me.
Yeah.
And to be fair, I ride alone a lot, so now it is kind of that way because it's but
Yeah.
I can pick up my own bike now. I've gotten really good at deadlifting this freaking
Uh-huh.
huge ass bike. Um, but it's still really cool when you find those people that you can go and ride with, and thankfully there's way more people who are willing to help and are patient and are great on the trail than people who are just going to be like, "Oh my god, why are you doing this? Like,
Yeah.
why are you even trying?" Like, there's a few of those out there, but there's bad apples in every area. So,
Oh, yeah.
um but it's just been so cool because I've been traveling the country. I was in California in February, and then, I've been all across the country all the way to Maine, and finding people in each area who are willing to ride with me, who are willing to help, who are willing to give advice like you said. It's incredible. And sometimes you think it's just your little area and just my people are the best people in the world, and your people are the best people in the
Yeah.
world, don't get me wrong. But there are people that are just as good as them all over the place, and I think it's really really cool because I'm getting to experience that firsthand, um that it really is the entire community and not just a small group of people. And it's cool to just get my confidence built and to see that happen for other people too. I've gone riding with people and watched it happen for, in my cases it was other women, but other riders in general. It's just seeing kids get cheered on doing hard things. There was these two little girls in New Hampshire, and they made it up this big old hill, and I was like, ah, great. So they made it up on their like little 50s. I was
Yep.
like, now I can't wipe out in front of them.
Yep.
Like,
Yep. Uh,
it's so cool to see, like, and I'm seeing a lot of little girls on trails. I think it's the coolest thing ever. Like dads taking their daughters, and there's like little tiny girls. I'm like, oh my god, this is the coolest thing ever.
yep. Yeah.
So
You're like,
I
see,
I
we
think
can do hard things.
exactly. And I think it's really cool because like when they're that young, right? If they're 6, 7 years old, um, they're getting a confidence instilled in them that,
Um,
words will never give them. Like,
no.
words are amazing, words are fantastic, but doing the thing gives you way more confidence than anything else. And like we've said, like, you have to do that. Nobody's going to ride that. I mean, somebody can ride the bike up for you, but that's not going to give you anything to be proud of if somebody else,
Mhm.
rides it up. But if you ride it up, even if you have to like take 3 or 4 tries to get up the hill
Yep.
and you make it to the top, that feeling is just absolutely incredible. And that's what I wish I could just like bottle and share with people and be like, look, this is how it feels. Like, this is why I get so obsessive about my riding, and like I want to be out there all the time because it's just the best feeling I've ever had.
Exactly. It's those little moments, the little victories, the little progress that you see.
Mhm.
That's what makes some of like the days that aren't the best worth it.
Yeah.
The days that where
Yeah.
it's like all you do is fall, or it's hot, or everything just seems to be going wrong, or
Mhm.
the mental game is winning and you everything else is losing, like whatever it might be, like those days are usually in the minority compared to celebrating the things that are the small progress, the small wins. And I
Yeah.
think it really goes like to all parts of life, though,
Mhm.
not just dirt biking. I think that that's something that to me, like dirt bikers, it seems to be a little bit of a unique skill that, like, obviously they
Mhm.
have mastered it either in dirt biking and applied it to life or vice versa. But it seems
Yeah.
like bikers are oftentimes the most like grounded people. They're oftentimes very astute about how to tackle problems and how sometimes there's more than one way to tackle problems, not just on a bike, but
Yep.
just in life in general.
Yep.
They're people that are thinking about how, everything is connected and it's not just one thing that impacts your success in life. It
Mhm.
takes all these things, just like on a bike. Having a great motor is great, but how is your tire set up? What's your clutch look like? Like how
Mhm.
is everything, the whole package, shocks, like it all goes together. And I
Yeah.
think that approach, that hey, it's okay that you fail sometimes, or you don't achieve the way that you set out or envisioned it in it being, but
Yeah.
those little victories should be celebrated, because eventually all those little victories, they add up, and next thing you know, you're at the top of the hill and you're killing it.
Yeah.
You're getting cheered on by
Exactly.
little girls who are also there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's absolutely amazing what I've done in my life. I've changed my mindset completely from where I was a year ago.
Hmm.
Um a year ago I started that change, and I started focusing on more positivity in my life. But really trying to focus on giving myself confidence and my self-talk. And that's where the whole like I do hard things for fun, like that's like my mantra now, because like
Yeah,
I'm just like, it used to be like, oh my god, I can't do this, like why am I even trying? And it's completely different now. It's like I just, like, I can do it. Like, it's going to be hard. Maybe I don't know the right technique. It would be a lot easier if I had really paid attention in that clinic a little bit more, but I was stressed out, or whatever.
yeah,
um but it's just like, I have done so many things that I didn't think I'd ever be able to do, and that I was told I would never be able to do on a bike, and I've been doing them and succeeding, and it's incredible for confidence. It's incredible for mindset. I think mindset is so huge, and it's something we talk about on almost every episode because it's just every dirt biker, whether you're somebody who just rides for
Mhm.
fun or you're a racer, that mindset, like you said, is huge. It just it's completely different for riders than it is for non-riders most of the time.
Yeah.
And it's it's just incredible what riding can do for your mindset. When I have a hard day, I really, like you said, it's the same thing. You apply from riding to your life. And it's just like, all right, I'm gonna get through this. And you just keep going.
Yep.
And and it's incredible how much riding reinforces that.
Hmm.
And I may not have that big win feel. I'm not getting to the top of a hill with life, but
Hmm.
it's still that same mindset that keeps me going, and that determination to make it to the next thing. Um, and I
Yeah.
just think that that's one of those other really cool things that comes with it. And that comes also with support of the community as well. When people see you go through hard things on a trail, and they support you and they're behind you and they're telling you how awesome it was, even if you didn't do it as good as the guy who's the former pro rider, extraordinaire from that area or
or
whatever, and
even
he
or
just
even
goes
the
and he
10-year-old girl. Either way, it can
or
be
the
both
10-year-old
ways.
kid,
Yeah.
yeah, who goes flying up the hill and you have to
Yep.
go, huh, all right. You may not do it as good as them, but you're still doing it and you're
Yep.
still accomplishing and you're still improving. And I think that's the coolest thing because everybody can go out. I went out with this group a couple weeks ago, every single level, right? I was the least experienced, and everything, we all went through the same things. All of us had different lines because my lines were way easier than their lines. Um, but we all accomplished the thing. It's
Yep.
just in a different way, like you said. And I think that's the coolest thing. Because we don't have to, in life, we don't have to tear people down for doing things different. We don't have to all be the same. We can do things different and have the same um outcome, and we should be doing things different, right? Like in a life setting, like we should be trying to do it differently, and that's how we move forward, I think, in life, but also in dirt biking, right? If I always take the easy line, I'm never going to improve, but this next time maybe I'm going to take the line that's a little bit harder. I'm not 100% sure about, but it might pay off, and then do it, and then look at that. That was so
Yep.
cool. So,
Yep. And
yeah, I think
even if you don't do it, so to speak, you still
yeah.
tried it. You I'm sure
Yeah.
learned something. In my experience, I always learn something from doing it. Sometimes it might be
Yeah.
learning that, hey, maybe I shouldn't have tried that today. I was tired. I was exhausted. It was at the end of the day. I shouldn't have tried it now. Let's try it first thing tomorrow morning. And then like
Yeah.
you accomplish it and it's great. But I mean, there's always a takeaway.
Yeah.
It's about trying to sometimes just keep that perspective too and acknowledging sometimes that not every day is going to be a perfect day, a great day, but as long as you were out there
Mhm.
and you tried, then that's all you can hope for. So,
Yeah. I think that like highlights an important thing, like learning your limits.
mhm.
Learning your limits is a big thing, not just with riding, but in life. I, for example, I'm training for a half, or excuse me, an ultra marathon now. Um, I had to learn my limit on how far I can push my body,
Yeah.
because originally it was like, I'm going to ride 5 days a week and I'm going to run 5 days a week, and then 2 days a week I'm going to go and I'm going to lift weights and I'm going to do this, and I burnt myself out.
Yeah.
I was so just exhausted. You can do too much.
Mhm.
Um so I had to learn that limit. And because I was so burnt out, I couldn't do anything else. I was so tired for work. I was so tired for family events and things like that.
Yeah.
I just couldn't. Um, so learning your limits is a very important skill. And I told my friend this. He pulled out of a race early recently, and I was like, he was really upset. He's like, I just can't believe it. And I was like, look, you're in pain.
Mhm.
Like, you have to know it's okay not to kill yourself for
Yeah.
something, you know? Like, like what does that do? It doesn't do anything for your confidence. It doesn't do anything for, anyone watching you. You're not inspiring anyone by pushing to the point where you're just in complete and total failure. Pushing, yes, cool, but when you're not, nothing good's coming out of it, then that's the limit, right?
Yeah.
So,
I think there also is like that idea, and I think especially, in the generation of, people that are right now between like their, you know, mid 20s to early 40s, the
mhm,
generation that we're in is, the idea of hustle culture. And, I know for
mhm,
me, I was raised in a way, I went to colleges that instilled that, hey, you need to be doing 150%, 100% of the time. And
yeah,
you have no time for rest and no time for recovery and no time to be able to reflect on, everything that you are doing well or what you need to adjust or change. What typically in my experience has happened is then your mindset starts to crumble or fall apart, or you're not able to take care of yourself as well. And so I think that that's
mhm,
something for me that I've learned not only through dirt biking, not only through watching, all these amazing riders that are doing races, but also,
mhm,
in my own personal health journey is that, um, you know, it's sometimes okay to just take a rest day. Or
yeah,
maybe a rest day is something that it isn't, going out and killing yourself because you're now working in the garage, wrenching the entire time, or, in my
mhm,
case, editing for 18
mhm,
hours a day just because you're not outside at a race doesn't mean that,
yeah,
you can just transfer that energy. Sometimes you need space. And quite candidly, I almost burnt myself out. When I was coming back from all of my health stuff about a year ago, I was finally starting to feel physically able to do things and participate at the
mhm,
level I wanted to, and starting to ride and things like that. But on top of that, I was working, at a full-time job. I had my full-time photo stuff. And then I was also trying to maintain, my normal social life and all the
mhm,
things we like to do, whether it's going up in the mountains and riding or other things like that. And, I was realizing that it was just like I couldn't relax. And that wasn't helpful.
mhm,
And that wasn't helpful to me. And I still don't do it great. Like, you can ask anybody in my life that knows me personally. I don't sit still well. I don't like just chill out well. We're working
yeah,
on it. It's a work in progress. But, sometimes to accomplish those really, really hard things, it's about also setting boundaries for yourself. And that's what
mhm,
I've learned is it's like, it's needing to set the boundary for myself that sometimes that, hey, as long as we went out there and tried, whatever that thing is we tried, that's
yeah,
better than nothing. And it's okay that sometimes that effort, as long as you tried, it doesn't always have to be a harder thing every single time. Sometimes it's about the
mhm,
training of the repetition of doing something easier and mastering that well. And then just
mhm,
giving your body a break and your mind a break, and just like
mhm,
in, really, really inscribing that into memory of what you
yeah,
learned. And
yeah,
so I think that's something that for me personally, I've found really important skill that translates from life to dirt biking and vice versa. So,
yeah. That's awesome. That's great. That's great to hear. I've had to do that, like I said, with my training. I burnt myself out. And that was hard because I had all these goals and I was just like,
mhm.
oh man, I'm never gonna make it if I keep doing this. So I had to rein back. And now, I'm training on the bike 2 days a week. And then I'm running 4 to 5 days a week, depending on how I feel. Some days
Yeah,
running is my therapy. I'm crazy like that. So like if I've had a really bad day, I'll throw an extra day in for running. But my running is a little bit different than most people's running. So I'll do 10 miles on average. So
yeah, that's your easy
for
day.
me,
Yeah, your
well,
recovery.
that's like a That's like a midday. Yeah, like an easy day for me is like 5 miles, and that's just like my chill, super super chill, but that's for me, you
Yeah,
know? A lot of people will go out there and 5 miles would be their max, and that's totally fine. Like there's nothing wrong
yeah,
with that at all.
exactly.
Every single person is different. You know, Tristan Hart's probably on his bike every single day, and that's probably totally fine for him. That would kill me. Like I can't do that. So every person is different, and that's okay to have that, as long as like you have to recognize your limits and not be 150% all the time. I think like what you said, that hustle culture is just something that was really ingrained in us, and I think that now people are starting to push back on it. You know, people realize burnout is real,
Mhm,
and we don't have time for hobbies like we used to. I have
mhm,
so many people telling me, "Oh my god, I can't believe you get to ride as much as you do," because I ride like every week. And they're just like, "I'm so jealous because I do this, 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 and this."
yeah,
And I'm like, that is so many things, which cool that you can perform at that level and you can do
yeah,
all those things, but also like, what are you doing for you? And
mhm,
I'm very, very big now on taking time for you, whether you're somebody who puts your all into your family, or into your craft, you know, your photography, your writing, whatever. What do you do for you outside of that thing? What keeps you going? What's your passion?
mhm,
um and you know, if you're on your bike every single day and riding is your passion, are you burning yourself out on riding so it's not so fun anymore because now you're trying to train to do it more? Or, you know, like, are you taking those easy days? Are you going out and riding with your friends and, you know, just remembering why you got into riding in the first place?
mhm.
Um, so I think those are all really important things. This turned into such a cool conversation. I'm so excited.
I love it.
I don't normally plan on anything going this way. This is really cool. It just happened to work out because I've just been doing like there's so much that's happened lately, and this is just
Mhm.
absolutely perfect for me to reinforce for me. So this is like I'm all happy inside. So
Well, that's great. I think that like platforms like your podcast and like others that other people are doing, whether it's podcasts or social things or
Mhm.
otherwise, I think normalize a lot about like we're all very similar, in the sense that everyone struggles with different things. Everyone has
Yeah,
unique challenges.
yeah,
Everyone has different strengths. And if there is one thing that you could impart to somebody else, share that. It might help
yeah,
them. You might think it's
yeah.
nothing. You might think it's not a big deal. It's just a casual comment you make, or something that you hold true for you, but it no doubt resonates with somebody else, and that should be celebrated when
Mhm.
it can be, because
Yeah,
ultimately, like it takes a village for all of us to navigate life. At the end of the day, we all
yeah.
need people, and I think that this community is just amazing for that.
Yeah, I find inspiration daily in the people that I talk to. I'm very, very fortunate to have a very large group of friends who I talk to almost on a daily basis. And you know, then there's other people who I get to talk to like once every couple weeks or whatever. But it all just keeps me just inspired, and
Mhm.
really helps keep me grounded because talking to them about the things that they do, it seems like you said so mundane for them, and it's just like for me it's like, dude, that's amazing, this is incredible, like. And so every day I kind of get like a little recharge from that, where people tell me what they've accomplished, and I'm just so excited for people all the time when they have wins, whether it's on bike or off the bike. um but that just like that makes me happy, and that's the whole reason for sharing these stories,
Mhm.
is that I know that there's other people out there who can benefit from hearing this. Maybe, you know, somebody's going to get inspired. Maybe somebody's listening to this and they're like, that hard enduro thing sounds cool. Maybe there's, a woman out there who's like, I've been thinking about it, but I'm not really sure. And now she's hopefully going to show up and try. And ladies, if you're listening, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. It is the most inclusive community. And like watching the women go through these courses, I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I feel like the women get more cheered on than like even the
Oh yeah.
pros. Which is like, maybe we're just louder for other women. I don't know, but
I also
like
just say that like typically the women also like have snacks, and
yep.
anyone who's ever encountered me in a race, like if they're riding and they stop by me and I'm taking
Mhm.
the picture, whatever, and you're there for a second, everybody I almost always ask if I have it,
Mhm.
and I carry a big backpack for a reason. Is
Mhm.
like, do you need anything? How's it going? You having fun yet? And like, somebody
Yeah.
needs water and I have extra water, I'll give it to them. But like, I also am
Yeah.
always like have a whole backpack full of snacks. Like anyone knows I love all of my snacks, and like I like variety. Like we got everything back there. And so like I like to joke that the women and all the kids and the youth riders, they know how to stop and enjoy and have a snack. They're not necessarily chasing points. They're out there just to do
Yeah.
something cool and hard and have a great time. But they're
Yeah.
also like, hey, I'm gonna go do a really hard feature in like, oh, let me see, like an hour. So maybe I need to
Yeah.
fuel myself a little bit. Been riding for 2 hours, probably need to fuel up. Let's take like a 2 minute break. Let's eat a bar or have some gel or something, and then keep going. And so I like to joke that the women know how to enjoy the snacks a little bit more.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's really funny because like I did the same. I started carrying water in Pennsylvania. I carried
Mhm.
extra waters because I was like, I don't know how it was hot. And I was
Yeah.
like, I don't know how many waters I'm gonna need. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to come back to my car. So I took like 6 water bottles out. My little mini backpack was like
Yeah.
exploding. And I ended up giving all except one of them away because I
Mhm.
mean so many people ran out of water that day. It was
Yep.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Um, but like, yeah, I've always got snacks and water. Like I always carry
Uh-huh.
extra water and I've even started carrying like electrolyte tabs and stuff
Mhm.
like that too. So just like anything that I think would benefit somebody if they need it, I
Yeah.
have like zip ties and like Allen wrenches and all of that just in case. Like, you never know what you're gonna encounter. And that but I now carry those things all the time.
Mhm.
So I had my backpack because it's just like always packed.
Yeah.
I had my little backpack and I was out hiking a couple weeks ago and I was just like, I came across a guy on the trail whose bike had broken and he needed an Allen wrench. And I was like, oh yeah, I've got one actually.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Like, yeah. So I like to always be prepared. But it makes a big difference. Going to what you said about fueling your body, that's huge, huge, huge.
Mhm.
Um, during races, I mean, those people are expending 4 or 5,000 calories depending on how they're pushing, how hard they're pushing, and everything. That's a lot of calories to go through, and if you're not taking anything in, um, your
It'll catch
body's
up
running
to
on
you.
nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's just fumes. And I've really so this transitions perfectly. Usually we talk about fitness and nutrition. So kind of do you do anything special? Because you're on your
Yeah.
own health journey, and that's maybe a little bit different. But do you do anything specific for like training to be on your bike, or like will you like do you want to start? And then what kind of nutrition do you
Mhm.
follow a plan or anything like that?
In terms of physical side of things, one of when I started on all of my health journey a couple years ago,
Hmm.
I was in PT right after my first surgery even, and they always go through and they always ask, what are something you want to be able to do, what do you want to get back to physically. And the only two things I was
Hmm.
like, look, I want to be able to rock climb and boulder again, and I want to be able to dirt bike. Those are the only two things. Like
Hmm.
the rest we'll figure it out, but like those are the goals. And so for the
Hmm.
last couple years, like we have spent hours and hours and hours every single month, focusing on, an ever evolving physical therapy plan that would get
Mhm.
me as strong as I could be, to the point where I no longer have to think as much about every little thing that I do in my life, and making sure I don't hurt myself, or that,
Yeah.
I'm physically capable and able to do it. And so for me, it was very instrumental to be able to work with a trainer in that capacity and have focus on specific goals, and understanding that those
Mhm.
physical goals take time, but they also take a lot of work in between. And so,
Mhm.
PT every day at home, and, just figuring out what it takes to try to continually work towards achieving those physical things,
Mhm.
reevaluate. And then also, a big thing for me is making sure that I was trying to strengthen everything in my body so that I avoided injury, or
Yeah.
re-injury on the line. And for the most part, knock on wood, like, I've avoided that, which is great. But I know, at least for me, that was only because of the amount of time and effort we've put into trying to strengthen everything across the board, not just
Mhm.
the things that were important to dirt biking only, or those types of things. So it's looking at the whole body. And so that's
Mhm.
something that was really key to me. It's something that I still focus on. And then also, I am, related to that. I'm really big on protecting myself too.
Mhm.
Like, I, wear, full braces, and, a chest protector at all times. Other than, if I'm able to stop and take my backpack off for a while and I'm not going to be on a bike for a while, then I'll take it off, just so I'm not
Mhm.
hot sitting there taking pictures for hours. But,
Yeah.
for me, I have found that being protected was really helpful to me. And that also helped me build more confidence too, so that when I fall or when I tip over or whatever happens, there's less concern over re-injuring myself or hurting myself in a way that would make my doctors really upset. And so I think that for my case, it was at least important to look at, what are some of the concerns and how do we protect ourselves, and also
Yeah.
knowing that, like, not everyone out there wears a chest protector, especially in hard enduro, and that's totally okay. For me, that's
Mhm.
what I have to do, and that's low
Mhm.
key what my doctor requires me to do, and I'm all right with it because it means I still get a ride. It means I still get to
Yeah.
get there and to do the things I want. And so, just look at the situations you might want to accomplish and say, hey, what do I need to adjust that's best for me? Not what's best for somebody
Mhm.
else, but what's best for me.
Yes.
And
Yep.
then for nutrition, I'm really, really big on a balanced diet. For me,
Mhm.
that's really, really important. High protein, big on a
Mhm.
protein person. I follow a very high protein diet at home,
Mhm.
especially, race weekend. Sometimes it turns into a, hey, we got 20 minutes. What can we quickly fuel our bodies with?
Yeah.
Um, at home, it's very high protein, lots of veggies, lots of fruit, good
Mhm.
carbs, healthy fats, and so very well-rounded diet. I am a big proponent that you can't fuel your body with just one of those. You can't live off just
Mhm.
carbs and have your
Yeah.
body function well. You need
Yeah.
fat, you need protein, you need all of those things.
Mhm.
At least in my opinion and in my body's experience, I need those things
Yeah.
to fuel my body. And I
Yeah.
also, on and off for the last 20 years, almost have actually worked with a nutritionist and dietitian. And that's been really great for me as well, because it's that, check in every, 4 to 6 months where I'm able to
Mhm.
consult with them. We're able to talk about some of my current health goals, get their counsel about
Mhm.
what's working, what's not working, what do we want to adjust slightly based on my body,
Yeah.
based on my physical needs, my labs, whatever it might be, and have that expertise from somebody who is trained in that. And so that'd be something that,
Yeah.
I've always encouraged people that, if you're really struggling in the area of your fitness or in the area of your diet, or you're just feeling like, hey, it could be bolstered up, talk talk to people who might be licensed in it, have that experience,
Mhm.
and have ideally, certifications and years of background in it, to be able
Mhm.
to give really good case studies, and aren't
Yeah.
just based on, a random internet study that said, I ate XYZ and, turned into Superman. Anybody could write something and post it on the internet. So I'm a big,
Wait,
big
wait, wait. I have the option to turn into Superman?
you apparently. But no, so big proponent of just like, do your research, figure out what works well for you, figure out
Mhm.
what your body needs, and then adjust. And, listen to your body. Sometimes
Yeah.
that's really hard. We all like to ignore sometimes our body, and sometimes our bodies try to tell us things that, like, hey, if you're getting hurt a lot, it might be a strength issue, it might be a fitness issue, or it also could be, impacted by diet as well.
Yep.
I think in particular for women, diet plays a really important role with, different things like hormones and how our body bounces back after hard physical activity and other things like that. So,
Mhm.
do your own research, figure out what works best, and
Mhm.
not be afraid to, continually evolve, build on it, see how your body feels. I'm a very big proponent of like intuitive eating in the sense that, like, like this morning, like at 11, I was like hankering for a salad. Don't know why, but my body was like,
Yeah.
you need a salad. And I was like, great. I like have to force myself to eat salads. I eat them every day, but I have to force myself because I'm not a big salad eater. But I was like, all right, my body wants a salad. Let's eat a salad. Here we go. And
Yeah.
those weird things of just like listening to your body, and,
Mhm.
just going from there. So,
Yeah. I
yeah.
think that's awesome. I always like to touch on this because there's a lot of people who don't consider these things, and I have a lot of background in nutrition. I've
Mhm.
been studying nutrition since I was like 12 years old. And so I know a lot about it, but I have realized that not a lot of people know, and not a lot of people realize how different you can feel when you fuel yourself rather than feed yourself. And there's a difference.
Exactly.
Um but like you said, like intuitive eating, like if your body wants something, there's a reason you're having
Mhm.
that craving. Now, if you're having a salty craving, that doesn't mean just go eat
It's
chips.
all,
Like
yeah.
that's probably not what your
Yeah,
body
you probably
wants.
need some
Um,
electrolytes and some other things.
yeah. But I mean, it's part of a learning process, and I think it's really cool that you're able to work with a nutritionist and a
Mhm.
dietitian. It's not something that everybody can do just financially. It is a lot of
Yeah.
money, but it is awesome when you
Mhm.
can have that in your corner, because it can really change how you feel.
Yeah.
And I think that that's incredible that you can change so much just by changing the way that you eat. I've
Yep.
changed the way that I eat multiple times in the last year, just kind of tweaking things, um, just because of what my body feels best. And I crave a lot of protein.
Mhm.
So most of my diet is protein based, but I still do eat carbs. I just try and make it more complex carbs.
Exactly.
I try not to do as much of the simple carbs. It happens, or I travel a lot. So sometimes
Mhm.
when I have an 8, 9 hour drive, there's nothing else to eat other than Burger King. But I try not to do that too often. It
Yeah.
is more about balance for me. But I just found that I used to eat a very high carb diet, and
Mhm.
I thought that that was good for me because I was a runner. And it just I when I started going higher protein, I was like, man, I feel so much
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
I recover quicker.
Yeah.
I'm just not as tired all the time. Now I find that if I eat too many carbs, I get really sleepy.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, don't offer me a box of pasta. Unless you want me to take a nap. But
Uh,
no, I always just like to get people's perspective because, like you said, everybody's different. I just like to offer a little bit of insight because
mhm.
sometimes people don't think about that, and
Yeah.
and so it's just cool to, like I said, all these things could be inspiring somebody.
Yeah.
Um,
The other thing too is like, the comment about like accessibility to that information and
mhm,
consulting. Um, Oftentimes insurance plans will cover
mhm,
some or the majority of, consults with registered dietitian and a nutritionist,
Mhm.
dietitian, any of those. And so, it is something that I've learned to work the system for better, for worse,
Yeah.
over the last few years, and, leverage the benefits that insurance plans often have built in particular. In the last 10 years, the insurance industry has shifted slightly. Some things for worse,
Mhm.
some things for better, but some of it has included more preventative care. And as a result
Mhm.
of that, some of that is, mental health care, but a lot of it also is resulting in, changes in how do you feel your body better? Is your diet
Mhm.
correct? Could you make changes? Things like that. And so I know, at least, in my case and a few other people that I know, their insurance plans will cover either in full or for the bulk majority of those initial consults.
Mhm.
Training with those people, and it might only be a couple times a year, but
Yeah.
hey, for me, I mean, I walk in with a list of questions about this thick of paper, but I'm able to then walk away with some really, really core ideas on what else to be doing, what else to be
Mhm.
monitoring my body for, ideas on how to adjust my diet based on the activities that I'm doing, or
Mhm.
how my body's feeling. And so, explore all options that you might have available. Dirt biking is really expensive. It's not a cheap sport. um, but at the same time, if taking care of your body means that you're preventing injury, which
Mhm.
therefore means, injuries are expensive, as we all have experienced. And so, there might be ways that, long term you might help save some money, actually, if you take care of your body. So invest in your health.
Yeah.
That's like my big recommendation: invest in your health.
That's really great information because I guess I didn't even think about that insurance aspect of it at all. I don't really do a whole lot with that. I have it and it's just there. So um that's good to know. I'm gonna have to look into that because I like to do things, as best as I can. And, I just
Mhm.
hired a personal trainer. I have all these races. Like I have my ultra marathon coming up in a couple months, and I just, I want to be in the best condition that I can be by then.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to win first place in an ultra marathon. I'm just trying to make it through. um, but having a conversation with a nutritionist would be really cool, especially if I could be covered. Um,
Mhm.
Dang, now the wheels are turning. Look what you did. See, this is why we have these conversations, because then it brings stuff out like this, and I'm like, "This is really cool." But, like, what if it helps somebody else and helps them get on
Yeah.
a journey for themselves? So, I think it's really awesome. So thank you for sharing that, because that's definitely not something I've ever really thought of. So
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm all about, like, ask the questions, and there's always going to be someone smarter out there. And,
yeah,
we all can Google things, and the internet's a great resource. But at the end of the day, you know,
Dr. Instagram.
professional expertise goes a long way.
Yes, yes, it does.
Uh,
Um, okay, well, on the topic of professional, we're gonna swing a completely different
yeah.
direction now. Um, so what what has been, in your experience, the best hard enduro this year so far?
Oh gosh.
Because you're the pro photographer, so like you
Oh,
see it all, like you see it from a different viewpoint, and I was gonna say from a different lens. Ha ha.
haha,
Photography
yeah.
jokes.
I think that every race is different and has different
Mhm,
experiences for different people. Um, I look at things a little bit differently because of not only being involved in the team as a part of the hard enduro team, um,
mhm,
but then also being out there on course. And for better,
mhm.
for worse, I see, you're always going to have somebody that's complaining.
Yeah.
But those people are going to be really small in comparison. Like, the number of people that complain are going to be really small compared to the bulk majority of people. There's always going to be somebody that says this could have been harder. There's always somebody
Yeah.
that's say that this was too tough, um, or the weather was too good or too bad or whatever. There's always going to be something that's not going to be perfect because we all are
Mhm,
unique and everyone likes to ride different. Um,
mhm,
I think that this last weekend in Donner was pretty amazing, simply
Yeah.
because we had an incredible weekend, not only with hard enduro, but Matt Brusgrove also brought in the hill climb. So we had all the pro hill climbers as well as an amateur stock class and the youth class, which was so amazing to watch. And then we
Yeah.
also had the district D36 hair scrambles. And so the entire weekend, Brian Garahan, incredible dirt biker, he put on a great event, great weekend. His entire team and the hard enduro team put a lot of hours into making that weekend what it was.
Yeah.
And so that, and it's a home race for me, so to speak. It's only a couple hours away. So
Yeah.
that for me, where we're bringing together all of these different facets of dirt biking, and in my world, bringing together all of my district people together with all hard enduro, like that's pretty crazy and special. So that
Yeah.
was amazing. I also absolutely loved some of our East Coast races. Battle of the Goats was awesome. Roar and that entire weekend with the hair scramble and hard scramble, excuse me, and Mikey Sotis's race, like incredible weekend. And so, that was also an amazing experience. And so I'm very excited to get back on the East Coast this next week at TKO.
Yeah.
I'm prepared for that humidity.
I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this, and it's gonna change. So I'm in northern Tennessee, but it has been really nice this last week.
Don't jinx
Like,
it.
I know, because I thought about it earlier, and I was like, dang, if it was like this for TKO, this would be awesome. But I have
Yeah.
a feeling it's just gonna like jump up.
Yeah.
But it's been like 70.
Ooh,
It's been
well,
it's been weird, but it's cool.
fingers crossed that continues.
We'll see. We'll see. Man, like you said, now that I said it, it's just gonna like be like 95 and like
Yeah.
100% humidity.
Blame us. Just edit this out of the podcast to
I know,
get
right? No, this
more.
isn't gonna go in public. No.
Oh,
No, I'm super excited. This is gonna be my first time at TKO. Um, any words of advice for somebody who's new to TKO? Like
well,
any words to survive?
this will be my first year in person as well. Last year I edited for
Oh,
it, but
okay.
I had literally had surgery. Or no, I was having surgery like a week or two later. And so I didn't go to this. Nick Clark went to this, which was amazing. So he was
Yeah.
the boots on the ground for Jenny Keller photography, and helped with the series a little bit as well. And I know that it's a lot of racing in the sense
Mhm.
that it's multiple days, but it also is an incredible experience because we have the privilege this year of having FIM riders there too. And
Yeah.
in addition to all of our hard enduro guys that we're used to always seeing race and have the pleasure of seeing. And this is also the final race in the Premier
Yeah.
Series. We still have a number of our races still to go for our East Coast regional championships, but this is our final. It's coming all down to it for the premiere. And so we're going to see some incredible action, incredible battles between Cody and Tristan and Will and the rest of all of those top 5-10 guys. And so, buckle up. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah. I'm super stoked to see how this all goes. Like I honestly don't know what to expect. I just expect awesomeness. And I know that's going to happen. So
Yeah.
it's going to be really cool.
Yeah.
I'm super
And
excited, and I'm just excited to see everybody. Like it
yes.
feels like it's been forever.
Yeah, it'll be an amazing thing. And then also, very exciting this year, they are bringing back the Nashville prologue for the top.
Oh yeah.
It's going to be they're shutting down Broadway Street in that main area of Nashville. And I used to spend a lot of time in Nashville in another life. And so that is no small feat for anyone who doesn't go to Nashville or hasn't been, shutting down Broadway is a huge deal. And they are going to be doing a straight rhythm inspired enduro cross course, similar to what we were talking about earlier, with lots of man-made obstacles, whether they're matrices with logs or rocks or different rails and things like that. And so that's going to be an incredible thing to watch. That'll be next Thursday on August 22nd in downtown Nashville. I believe the Tennessee Knockout Enduro.com website has more details about that. Highly recommend people consider checking that out. They will be able, if you're going to go and spectate, you'll be able to not only spectate from the sidelines of the race, but also there on Broadway, it's all lined with different bars that all have rooftops. And so you'll be able to actually spectate from some of the rooftops as well. And so definitely check out their website. That's going to be some great action the night before, kind of get everybody primed and ready to go for the next day. And I know the website also has the full list of all the riders that will be racing on Thursday for that head-to-head battle. I think there's 16 riders, as I mentioned. So definitely check it out. There's going to be people that are covering every manufacturer and all reaches of the country. So that'll be exciting to see and really, really fun time.
Yeah, that's so cool. Like you said, it's not a small feat to shut down Broadway
No.
in Nashville. I mean, I heard that and I was like, "Whoa. Whoa. Okay. This is
Yep.
cool." Actually, I have a friend who's supposed to be in Nashville next week, and she's like, "Yeah, there's something going on Thursday," and I was like, "That's my something. Like
That's
my world."
You're like, come
She was
over,
just like,
come.
"Oh, yeah." Yeah, I was like, "Tell everybody you know." So,
Well,
you
I'm hitting
know,
up all my music friends, and I texted a bunch of them last week, and I was like, "Hey, I'm going to be in Nashville. I don't have time to do anything, but if you want to come see me doing, what I've been doing the last couple years of my life, I'd love to, have you come over." And they were like, "I'm sorry, you're doing what?" And they were like, Googled
yeah.
it. Like, "Oh, we're going to be there. That's sick. That's awesome."
Sweet. That's
Yeah, like I
awesome.
didn't even
I
know
think
that was
it's
something we could do, and I was like, "Yep." So
Yeah, I think it's gonna be really cool. I mean, they did this before, right? Once before?
yeah, I know they didn't do it last year, I don't believe. I think they've taken a little bit of time off, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's coming
But I
back.
think they did it once before. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's just like, I mean, to shut down such a major part of Nashville, that gets attention. And so
Yeah,
I'm really excited to see with all the media coverage that you guys are doing and all of the stuff that Hard Enduro Bros is doing and everything that's out there right now. Having people go, why is the street shut down right now? And
yeah.
then look into those things, like, I think that's really cool. Hopefully,
No,
we get more eyes on everything, so
it's really inspiring, and I think that, it's amazing to see the inertia that's been created, in particular over the last 6 months, from
yeah.
everything that Blake Scott's doing with his project for Honduras
Mhm.
Burros to everything that Max Gersten has been venturing into with his podcast, and
Yes.
telling the stories that he's sharing there, to the things like that you've been talking about, all the amazing conversations, and then like
Yeah.
the cherry on top, everything that Hard Enduro team has been doing. And
Mhm.
not only leading up to races, but during races, and the footage that Max Gersten is catching or is
Yeah.
capturing, as well as Ryan McCaslin and all of the work
Yeah.
that he is doing with Matt. It's just amazing to see. Overall, there's
Yeah.
just this great energy. I'm really excited to see what's going to be happening for the next year, and yeah, I think that it's going to be really hard for people to ignore at a certain point,
Yeah.
because
Yeah, I think
it's
that you
everywhere.
guys Yeah, exactly. You guys are doing such a great job with covering everything, and I mean, like I said, I've been watching Hard Enduro for quite a long time, but I didn't even really know that there was much of a series here until this last year, like the tail
Mhm.
end of last year. TKO was, I think, the first thing that I saw stateside. And then I
Yeah,
started kind of getting involved with the Battle of the Goats stuff, and I was like, oh, okay, there's like a whole series. Okay, this is like a thing. And
yeah,
then I started kind of seeing the coverage and everything, and that really drew me in. um, because I hadn't seen anything on it.
Mhm.
And now I feel like there's um a lot more coverage and a lot more people talking about it. Like I said, there's
Mhm.
people in my life who are like, I got sent twice yesterday the Hard Enduro Burrows, the latest episode,
Mhm.
from people who I didn't even know would watch a dirt bike video. And they're like, "Hey, did you see this? This is really cool." They got sent it from somebody else. So I was like,
Mhm.
"This is awesome."
Yeah.
Like, and they're sending it to me because they're like, "I know you like dirt bikes. Have you ever seen this stuff?" And I was like, "Yeah, actually I
Yeah.
have. I watch it like it's on my notifications as soon as it
Yeah.
gets released." Um but seriously, shout out to all of you guys though. You guys all, like, you guys make these events amazing. When I met you guys, you're all so really, like, just the nicest people, the most down to earth people, super helpful, and like, pointing me where to go because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, so it was, you guys make it a really great experience. You guys talk to like everybody, and I think that's the coolest thing. Sometimes in different events, you never see the people who put it on, or the media team's so busy that they don't have time to talk to anybody, and all of you guys are always smiling and you're just like waving at everybody, and I think that that's part of the experience. Like
Mhm.
you talked about the community, you guys embody that, and I think that that's really cool, and all of the hard work that I've seen you guys put in. um you, Matt, Max, Josh, Ryan, Nick, Evan, everybody who's involved. It's been really cool to like kind of be a little bit behind the scenes at one point and see
Mhm.
you guys working so hard. And I know the heart and soul that you guys put into this. And it shows with how great the community is. So
Thank
I think you guys all deserve a huge shout out for that, because it's really incredible, and you guys are building up something that's already amazing, and you're making it even better. So I'm really excited to see where 2025 goes, and see, just kind of like, in my mind, it's all just going to like explode and
Mhm.
be even more amazing. So
Yeah.
I'm
No,
super stoked for it.
we're really excited, and thank you so much for all the kind and generous words. And on the
Yeah.
U.S. Hard Enduro front, be sure follow all of our pages for next week, as well as TKO's pages.
Yeah.
And then in the next short while, in the next couple weeks, we also are hoping to tease our schedule for 2025. So
Ooh,
make sure you're signed
exciting.
up for our email list on our website, as well as follow all our social pages, so that you
Mhm.
can be in the know about it. Yeah, we're very, very excited for what's to come. And, it's been a pleasure getting to know, new people this year and this season, like yourself. And things are hopeful for the future. And it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be incredible. I'm really excited. I feel like I'm getting into this like right as things are starting to like grow and grow and grow. So it's gonna be really cool to watch it all.
Yeah.
Um, that's awesome. I I just oh, like I'm excited for next week, but at the same time, I'm like, I want next year to start too, because I missed the whole like West Coast series. I
Yeah.
didn't make it to any of that stuff. I was in each place like the week after everything
Oh,
happened.
no.
So I was like, why? Why did it work out like this? But
Oh,
yeah, so it didn't work out that
yeah.
I get there. But
Well, there's going to be
yeah,
the
I'm
East
really
Coast sweep still for this fall.
yep,
So anyone who might
yeah, yeah.
be in Enduro Cross, because they're on that side of Mississippi River, don't miss
Mhm.
out on all the East Coast rounds that are still to come. There's going to be a lot of really
Yeah.
good races being put on, and so check out our schedule online, and register. I know that there's going to be some really good races that are on the docket, really good plans, some nice
Yeah.
purses, good sponsors, good promoters. So get that on your
It's
calendar.
not over.
No,
It's not
exactly.
over.
Just because Premier is going to wrap up next week, and that battle's going to be a
Yeah.
one way or the other. There
Yep.
still is all of the East Coast rounds to wrap up. So don't miss
Yep.
out on that action. And yeah, we're excited for what's to come too.
That'll be really cool. Yeah, no, I'm definitely hopefully gonna be at some more. I just wanna like the whole year. I want to be able to hit the whole year if I can. That's
Yeah,
my plan right now.
yeah,
So we'll see.
yeah.
Uh,
Chasing the series it's been an immense privilege this year to be able to be there for all of the premiere rounds so far, and
yeah.
all the West Coast as well.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's just, this is a really cool sport with some amazing
Mhm.
people. And we're all
Yeah,
lucky that we've ended up in it. So,
for sure, for sure. Um, a little bit off topic, but we talked about there's people coming overseas to ride here for TKO.
mhm.
Um, if I told you that I'm going to pay for you to go wherever you want in the world to go ride, but you have to leave in an hour, where are you going?
Oh gosh. Do I also get the skills that are required to ride said features or said places?
Yeah, yeah, we'll go with that.
Okay, yeah, yeah. We're gonna need to, otherwise I'll be stuck outside the parking lot. I mean, I would love to go over to Romaniacs one day. Obviously not to race it, but I'd love to photograph it. Also down to South Africa. That's on my bucket list
Ooh.
too, of places to be able to
Mhm.
go and cover. And so those are a couple of the top places. But honestly, there's just so many amazing places that, I've traveled, and I've traveled to different parts of the world, but not for this reason before. And I'd love to
Mhm.
be able to marry those two things of like my love, for my career, but also my love to travel. And so that's probably a couple of the places that are at the top of the list. But honestly, I'm a very, very easy person to convince to go travel. If you're like, hey, let's go, and I'm like, great, tell me where we're going when we get to the airport. Like, I'm in.
Sweet.
Yeah.
We're trying to plan a women's group to go overseas. We've talked about Iceland and we've talked about
Mm,
Romania.
yeah,
So I'll keep you in the loop for that.
definitely
If
do.
we end up doing it, because that's like this has come up multiple times and
Yeah.
like with multiple people. So if we could get it, it would be like 10 women.
Oh,
And
that'd be so
like
cool.
it, yeah, it would be super sick to just have like 10 women just like go to a different country and like just rock it on bikes and just like be amazing and just like, yeah, we're cool like that, and experience something intense but awe-inspiring.
I've always wanted to
Iceland is
go
just
on bikes in other
yeah.
countries, so let's do it.
Yeah, exactly. Like I want to fall and hit the ground really hard somewhere
Yeah,
else.
yeah, exactly.
I think I think Iceland would be absolutely epic for like pictures. It'd be
Yeah,
amazing. I want to go there. Just how insanely amazing the landscape is just
yeah.
fantastic. But Romania, of course, has its own. I mean, I just want to go and see that. That looks
Yeah,
incredible there.
yeah.
Just the hills. I don't have those hill climbing skills yet, but soon. Um
Well,
yeah,
we get
that's
Ryder
really cool.
LeBon to start, coach all of us before for that trip.
Heck yeah.
We're
Yep,
like,
we'll
to go climb rope.
schedule it and then we'll get a clinic and we'll just like bring them out and be like, "All right, you got to teach all of us real quick cuz this is our crash course before we go."
Yeah, and by the way, you're dropping us off the airport.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think that'd go over very well. We would probably be like, yeah, we probably should have planned ahead.
Maybe, but I still think it'd be fun.
Yeah.
We could try.
Uh,
Awesome. Well, let's see. I think I've covered most everything that I had questions about. This turned into a really amazing conversation. I'm like super
yeah.
excited. I'm sorry we went over our time a
No, I
lot.
love it. I love
Um,
it.
but
It's been
it's
great.
really cool. Yeah, it's amazing. I'm just so stoked for just talking to you in general. Your passion and like your positivity just comes through and it's just so infectious. I love it.
Thank you. Yeah. And if
Is there
anybody, oh, I was just going to say, if
yeah, go ahead.
anybody wants to get in touch with me, follow me on Instagram. That's probably the quickest way at this point in time. DMs sometimes are a little slow to get back. Might take me a day or two, especially
Yeah.
if it's like right after race week or weekend. DMs are a couple days to get back to people, but my Instagram is Jenny G Keller. That's JennyGkeller. And then obviously you can follow everything going on with US Hard Enduro through their channel. So at US Hard Enduro on Instagram. And you can also reach me on my website, jennykellerphotography.com. And that has my contact information there. So I am always open if anyone ever has questions or I can help or give advice in my very limited scope. But especially if it is, photo questions, creative questions, or other things like that. You have questions about things that I shared on this podcast, always reach out. And if it's dirt bike questions, Angel has a lot of other people who've spoken already on the podcast, director like Dylan Santoro. Highly recommend dirt bike questions. Go to him. But I have all the other ones like snack questions. I can hook you up on those. So
you're just gonna get flooded. Hey, what are the best snacks?
yeah. No, I'm just gonna like send them a download of everything I buy, and either people are gonna question why I carry such a big backpack, or
you're gonna add that to your link tree, like have that be like Jenny's
my
snack
shopping
list.
list. Yep.
I love it. That's
Well, this has
awesome.
been so fun.
Well,
Thank you so much.
thank you. I appreciate it. I really appreciate your time. I know it's very valuable between races. These are some almost back-to-back races for you. So you've got a lot to do. So I really appreciate you taking all this time and coming and chatting and just having fun with me. This has been a
Yeah.
blast. I love
No,
it.
it's great. And we got next week. So, TKO, watch
Yeah.
out.
It's going to be a blast. I'm
Yeah.
excited. Well, thank you again. And in the last couple minutes, do you have anybody that you want to shout out? Any hi moms or anything?
I just have to say, like, huge thank you to every single person in my life that's helped me get here. From Nick Clark, both personally as my dear, dear friend and business partner, all the way through Matt Musgrove, the whole US Hard Enduro team, Josh, Max, Evan, Ryan, and all of our additional people that also help, like Nate. I can't leave out Mike Sotis, our scoring director. I have so appreciated it being family and being welcomed into this amazing, amazing place and thing. But also, thanking all of the people that have supported me personally that have allowed me to get here. All of my friends, all of my family that not only got me through some really hard things in my life over the last, 5 years, but also everybody that's been there also to celebrate the cool things like this experience and this great podcast. And I'm so appreciative of that. Wouldn't be here without any of you. And it takes a village. I believe in the community. I believe in building your own village and your own community. So thank you to every single person who's gotten me here. I also definitely need to say thank you to Mom. Thank you to my boyfriend, Jared. Thank you to the unofficial, official photography dog for Jenny Keller Photography, Aiko. People probably recognize him more than they do me or Nick ever out on trail. But, it's just been such an amazing experience, and every single person has helped contribute to that. So thank you. And I'm really excited about the ride that's to come.
Well, thank you. And we really appreciate having you here. So,
All right.
awesome.
Thank you.